Oh yeah. So now we will start.
You're gonna do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, Geshe, we'll mute everyone and then we'll
Oh yeah.
be back on.
Mm-hmm. As always, we'll start this gathering, saying the refuge and bodhicitta lines, while verbally saying those 4 lines, and mentally, holding the mind, taking refuge in 3 jewels, and the altruistic awakened mind, bodhicitta, as our main intention to participate in this gathering. And also, we all know, that being follower of the teachings of the Buddha, then holding the mind, taking refuge, should be very much part of our everyday way of living and way of thinking, way of interacting with the living beings. And within the teachings of the Buddha, following the Bodhisattva teachings, Vajrayana teachings, then the bodhicitta being very much part of our mental states, the woke up with the bodhicitta, walk, with the bodhicitta, eat with the bodhicitta, sleep with the bodhicitta, which is, as a follower of the Bodhisattva teachings and the Vajrayana teachings, and very, very helpful to do that. So this, every time when we come together, every time when we do even a short practice, short recitation, always start with the refuge and bodhicitta, either short lines or without any recitation. The main purpose is because these 2 mental states, should be the main, the pillars, main sort of, the centerpiece of our practices, and also, the main part of our daily way of lives, way of interacting with the others and their environments. So for that, to happen like that, we always start with these 2, holding these 2 minds through the reading those 4 lines. So while reading those 4 lines, try all our best, to bring these 2 mental states within ourselves as strong as possible, as clear as possible. Right? Sanje cheda zoje chonama chanjo pado dane jaso che dage chenso jebe sonama dola tende sanje tu Sanje cheda zoje chonama chanjo pado dane jaso che dage chenso jebe sonama Dola Penje Sanje Dola Sanje Chedan Soji Chonam Chanjo Pardo Dan Chanjo Chen Agi Chen Soji Be Chonama Dola Penje Sanje Dola with the mind taking refuge and bodhicitta, the altruistic awakened mind, as our main motivation to join this gathering. Now we are going to say Cheresic mantra, the 6-syllable Cheresic mantra together. And while verbally saying the mantra, mentally hold very strong compassion, great compassion towards all living beings, and that includes ourselves, our loved ones, our friends, colleagues, communities, and gradually to extend towards all living creatures without any discrimination, without any selections, to include all living creatures. So we are reading this text, this meditation manual, to purify negativities that we have created in the past and creating at the present and may create in the future. And also the seeds of those, led by those negative actions. And as I mentioned, I think in the first or second our gathering in this program, the spiritual journey that we are in, generally speaking, there are two ways to nurture our spiritual journey, enhance the spiritual journey. The one part is very much enhancing, cultivating, developing those helpful, useful mental states, constructive mental states, and the behaviors and the activities. And on the other side is very much to minimize, to reduce, and if it is possible, to stop, completely to eradicate those unhelpful, unhealthy, destructive mental states, behaviors, and the activities. So that is here, quite often in Tibetan, that this expression is used, that is saying, Tsok Sakpa Tang Tiba Changwa. Tsok Sakpa, literally, it means, quite often translated in English, accumulating the merit, accumulating the merit. This is what I just put it, saying that enhancing those helpful, useful, constructive mental states, behaviors, activities, and that is, accumulating the merit. Diba Jangwa, Diba literally it means obscurations or defilements. Jangwa means purifying, and that is, in that, through these two sort of processes, on the one hand, enhancing those constructive, helpful, healthy mental states, behaviors, attitudes, activities. On the other side, the reducing, minimizing, eradicating those unhealthy. So this program, our focus is very much to the latter one, which is the purification, Diba Changwa, Diba Changwa. So and in that, the main, what you call the mechanism or main factors are those four powers: the power of reliance, commonly translated, or the power, say, the power of foundation, and the second is the power of regret, which we had covered, and those two are very, very important. Any level or any form that we do the purification, either simply based on Sutriyana, without any Vajrayana elements, we need those four powers to minimize, to reduce, and to eradicate the afflictions and the propensities, the seeds and left behind within our psychic, and that is here, Diba Changwa. And so therefore, really, first of all, simply knowing what are the four powers. That is the first step, which, and secondly, along the, while we are, practicing Dharma, while we are reading the teachings, listening the teaching, the so on and so forth, during those times, try to make those four powers as rich as possible, as profound as possible. Then when we perform purification practice at any form, all the four powers will be there, while we follow the meditation manual. Otherwise, when we start a session, say 45 minutes of Vajrasattva practice for purification, if those four powers, power of reliance, power of regret, power of remedy, power of determination, if those four powers are not there, within ourselves in a very, not in an enriched, not in a very profound and depth and extensive, then just they become what, a ritual. Okay, now I'm power of reliance. Now I'm power of the regret, and don't know what kind of regret to feel. Nothing regret is coming. So that is here, as I mentioned the other day, those Kadamba masters' expression. Once we pull from the one corner of the square, material, all the other three corners come towards that corner where we pull, and that is very, very what you call the nice imagery to understand how our Dharma practice should be, and that. So therefore, last week I deliberately read some of the sections in a way talk about law of cause and effect, karma, and those four in the general outline, those four outlines, which are the very important to really to develop deep sense of regret, which is needed in the second what's called the power. So that is a brief recap so far what we have done. And today's our reading, we will start from the power of remedial action. And we touched on that briefly last Sunday. And again here, because how it is structured and how beautifully sort of explain the visualization. This beautiful explanation to do the visualization may lead some fundamental misunderstanding. And this is something important, which I already again mentioned that. I quote, I think, one or two quotations from Dhammapada, Tong Dhammapada, saying that, no matter how Buddhas are great compassionate, they cannot take away our suffering by their hands. No matter how, the powerful they are, by pouring water upon us, our afflictions, the negative karmas, their propensities cannot be, washed away. No matter how great compassionate they are, they cannot, give to us their great compassion and wisdom realizing emptiness, like when we give gifts in the Christmas time or New Year time or birthday time. The only thing is through only those, no matter how powerful they are, no matter how great compassion they are, what they can do, they will teach the Dharma, the truth, that is truth, teaching the truth to us and ourselves, realizing that truth, reality. Through that, will be liberated. And that verse, meaning of that verse is very, very important to remember when we do this kind of practices. So that is, I think I have already said that, and because it is important, I repeat it. Now here, the first, we are going to go through those two paragraphs, explaining the beautiful visualization. So now going back to our, before the first, what's called, or first power of reliance, before taking refuge and holding the bodhicitta. What we have done in this meditation manual, according to this meditation manual, we visualize Vajrasattva, either above our head, or in front of us. That's what we have done. And there I have explained, sort of bringing that, meditation manual, meditations, what you call the instruction, quite often comes with the Tsering, those 6 deities, the ultimate deity, the deity of sound, deity of symbols, deity of form, deity of mudra, and the deity of signs, which I've explained briefly on that. And that is quite useful, gradually, what you call to visualize, learn to visualize Vajrasattva or any other form. Not all the time like this, but this is what I found, particularly in the early stage, to learn the visualization. This 6 deities, quite often call it 6 deity forms, way of visualizing the deity is quite helpful. So where we are now is we have visualized Vajrasattva, say above our head, and at his heart, we have visualized moon disk, flat. Upon the moon disk, at the center, syllable Hum, and it is surrounded by the 100 syllable mantra, standing at the edge of the moon disk. And that is, the visualization. With that visualization, what we have done, we have taken refuge, generated bodhicitta, part of the, the first power of reliance. Then we have, developed deep sense of regret through the understanding of negativities, unwholesome deeds that we have done under the power of delusions, those 3 poisons, and understanding their consequences are in front of us, one way or another, we are going to, experience that. And we have done that. So that is the second out of the 4 powers, second power. And also last week, I briefly, mentioned, in the Shantideva's Guide to the Bodhisattvas, we have live in the second chapter which explains compassion. And in there are several verses which explain about one of the, what you call one of the, reality that we are going to face, which is death, And there, those verses talk about death is going to come. Time of the death is very uncertain. When it comes, our friends, our colleagues, our possessions, they cannot help, cannot do anything. Only what can help or what can, that we can, embrace, that is the Dharma. So those verses are also very, very helpful in the meditating on the second, in the second power. That will give us the sense of urgency to do the purification, to do the, the purification practice. Otherwise, our that bad, habit, the habit of, the want to postpone, procrastinating all the time. tomorrow, afternoon, later, and then tomorrow, and that is the meditating on which explain those verses in the second chapter by Shantideva. That is very powerful. So combination of those two, the first in the second power, first really reflecting on the nature of karma, those features of the karma which we read. Then second, really reflecting on the nature of impermanence, then to bring sense of urgency to do purification without any delay. So those are the things we have done. So now in the third power and in this meditation manual, then now we go back to the visualization again. Initially focus on move our focus on the visualization, and I don't need that much explanation. It is very nicely, clearly written in here under the heading, the power of grammatical action. From the home at Vajrasattva's heart, light radiates in all directions. So this is, from the Vajrasattva's heart, the syllable home, and also 100 syllable mantra, which is standing at the edge of the moon disk. From there, start from home, then from the Vajrasattva's body, that light rays, radiates all directions, requesting the Buddhas to bestow their blessings. And you may remember when we are, talking about the power, the deity of mudra, out of the 6 deities, the deity of mudra. It is similar things happening here again. Now our visualization of Vajrasattva, from there, started from the letter home, which is at his heart, then light radiates, and that reach to reach, at all enlightened beings. And by reaching that, requesting their blessings, the blessings of all the Buddhas, and that it says Buddhas to bestow their blessings, and they accept the request and send wide rays of light and nectar. So that sort of interaction, going out, the light ray, reaching, accepted joyfully, then coming back the light rays with the Buddhas, all the enlightened beings, we can see, in a form of light and nectars, the essence of which the knowledge of their body, speech, and mind. So return with the light rays and nectars, returning back is, all the Buddhas, knowledge of the body, speech, and mind. That is returning back with the light rays and nectars. The light and nectar absorb into the home and the letters of the mantra at the Vajrasattva's heart. So, it is, if you look at in the structure, it is quite clear. First, think about light rays going out, starting from the home, gradually from the 100 syllable, then gradually from the entire Vajrasattva's body, going towards all directions. Then strongly imagine the light rays reach to all enlightened beings, and reaching that is the what's called the sign, or the significant, requesting their blessings, and they very compassionately to accept it, and then light rays or nectar or together light rays return back, and with in the aspect of light rays and nectar, but in the nature of those enlightened beings, knowledge of body, speech, and they dissolve into the Vajrasattva's body, and gradually into the 100 syllable mantra, and then syllable home. And that is what here so far, that's that sort of structure. They then fill his whole body completely, enhancing the magnificence of his appearance and increasing the brilliance of the mantra. So here, though what we have visualized above our head, that Vajrasattva, before we take refuge and generate bodhicitta, although there we already hold and imagine that, the Vajrasattva, which is the embodiment of all the enlightened beings, all the enlightened beings' qualities of the purification, that all the enlightened beings, who are fully, completely, eradicated or eliminated or purified all the obscuration, all the delusions and their propensities. That seeds, that nature manifests into Vajrasattva, Vajrasattva. And that's what we have already visualized. And we have strongly imagined that is the case, and that we should do that. It is not just our visualize Vajrasattva. It is in that nature, in that aspect. Now, once again here, light rays going out, inviting and coming back, dissolving, then strongly imagining that Vajrasattva, and at his heart, the home and all the mantras become more powerful, more sort of brilliant, and so on. So it is to reinforce our strong sense of enlightened being is present above our head. Though we have visualized, but through this process, enlightened being is present above our head in a form of Vajrasattva. And that is important. That's why this saying, then they fill his whole body completely, enhancing magnificence of his appearances. In reality, enlightened beings' body, or what's called doesn't need to enhance their magnificence, all those things, because they are fully enlightened beings. Whether we do the visualizations or not, enlightened beings are enlightened beings. Therefore, don't need their body, speech, and their mantras to be enhanced, to be, but it is to our mind, our current, this, very strong sense of ordinariness, the grasping of sense of ordinariness need to be cleansed, particularly in the Vajrayana practice. Sense of ordinariness, Tamil, this appearance and grasping of ordinariness should be, cleansed. And that's why these, things are taking place, which I have mentioned this before. So that is the first paragraph in the visualization. Then the second paragraph. Second paragraph is very much what to do during the, what kind of visualization that we should do during the mantra recitation, during the mantra recitation. So I will just read that. While reciting the mantra, visualize the wide rays of light and nectar, steam continuously from the home and the mantra of Vajrasattva's heart. They flow down through the crown of your head and fill every cell of your body and the mind with the infinite bliss. Then recite the mantra. So it is very beautiful to do that, visualization while we are reciting the mantra. That then, not immediately after a few times recitation with the focus, with the, then definitely we will experience a sense of, whether we call bliss or not, there's a deep sense of, the relaxation, deep sense of joy that we will experience, when our mind is focused with the recitation, with the visualization, that particularly strongly, visualizing that in the aspect of light or nectars, in the nature of that, all the Buddhas, all the enlightened beings, they are the qualities of their body, speech, and mind, coming through the Vajrasattva's body, and from the syllable Hong and the 100 syllable mantra, and descending light and nectar through our, the crown, and gradually, filling entire our body, speech, and mind. Every part of our body is, filled with that light, in the aspect of the multicolored light, in the nature of fully enlightened beings, qualities of the body, speech, and mind. Holding that kind of very, very helpful. Of course, initially, what we should, while we are training, it is good to do alteration. Sometimes do the visualization and, hold your, what you call the mantra recitation. Sometimes do the mantra recitation, hold your visualization, keep a little bit back, then gradually bring together. It is not easy, and right at the beginning, two will come together. No, it will take time. Like as I keep saying that analogies, while we are learning how driving car, initially it is very difficult to look at the mirror and at the same time change the gear and same time push the clutch. But when the body and put into that habit, then we can do all those three almost at the same time, like that. Initially, do some sessions more focused on the visualization, some sessions to do the mantra recitation, and then even one session, earlier part focus on the visualization, then gradually bring the mantra recitation, and bring that. That way, then these two will come, eventually will come together while holding the visualization. Same time, reciting the mantra. Then the most important part is with the mantra, the understanding the meaning of the mantra, what we are reciting. So that is here, and these three things need to, juggle. And initially, sort of, alteration, and eventually they will come together. So they will come together. And what we are going to do now, if you people who have the, the text, page 5. Page 5, there is a summary of meaning of the mantra. That is the page in the page 5, the summary of the meaning of the mantra. So there, the meaning of what we are reciting is there, what we are reciting. And that understanding, before that, the translated each Sanskrit term translated into English that we can see, but then there is a summary. And in those lines, the meaning of the mantra that we are reciting is there. And it is useful. It is useful to understand, these days, these are very readily available. In Tibetan, we don't have that kind of translation because mantras are, recited in Sanskrit form, but not really Sanskrit as a Sanskrit. It is a Tibetans created Sanskrit. But, we don't have that kind of translation, but nowadays, very readily available translation of the mantra. So we know what we are saying. Each syllable says the Vajrasattva. What is it? What represents? Vajrasattva. What Vajrasattva represents? What is the meaning of Vajrasattva? So these are really something important. I mean, here again, as I mentioned earlier, you can see, there are several, please make me closer to your Vajra holy mind and grant me the ability to realize ultimate nature of phenomena. Please help me to realize great bliss. Let me to stay in your state and grant me all powerful attainment. Please bestow upon me all virtues. So these are like a pleading to somebody. So now that is important to know to whom that we are pleading. And now, can't remember, maybe I've said here or in the other group, but many of you know this very well. When we take refuge, I think I said in here. When we take refuge, there are this mechanism called causal refuge and resultant refuge. I think I've said in here this group. So here again, mainly we are, when we say please, here mainly not necessarily something completely separate from us, sitting above our head and pleading to that, to give me that. Actually, that above our, that we have visualized above our head, which is that we draw all the, blessings or all the enlightened beings, all the good qualities. In fact, that is our resultant state of, when we attain full enlightenment. That is what we are taking refuge. Although at this stage, what we have done is we have visualized and we bring all the blessings and all the, the enlightened beings qualities in here, more in a physical or more in a, physical in the sense visualization level. But in reality is that should be our resultant state of the refuge object. Do you remember? There are two refuge objects, causal refuge object and the resultant refuge object. The causal refuge object, there is a Buddha, there is a Dharma, there is a Sangha, and resultant refuge object, there is a Buddha, there is a Dharma, there is a Sangha. So now here, playing, though would like very much at the visualization that we have done, but it is actually to playing to our resultant state, which is not here fully, not complete here, but that is what's going to happen. And which is very, very important to know. It says, so now then, by what that we are going to in this particular recitation, by what that we are going to attain, or that we are going to realize our resultant state of the refuge object. It is through these two. It says, indestructible nature of all, having destroyed somewhere down there. Great bliss and emptiness. That is the great bliss and emptiness. Through that realization, union of inseparable nature of bliss, great bliss, and realization of emptiness, that will bestow, or that will sort of make us closer to Vajrasattva's holy body. And here it is put your. It refers to your. It is referring to that our visual, that Vajrasattva that we have visualized above our head, which is our resultant state of the refuge object. So that is here we need to know. It is a little bit complicated, going a little bit round, but important to know that. So I will not go line, to explain line by line. The meaning is clear from here. Now I'm going back to our main reading, and which is on page 2, under the heading of power of remedial action. Now here, today we have done, in this meditation manual, it is focused on Vajrasattva, to really to destroy, all the negativities and so on and so forth. Here we can also do, in terms of the purification, we can also do the a strong, for example, if we would like to focus purification of our anger, we can have a strong, what you call the Tsering mantra that will do, and hold strong loving kindness, great compassion. So the main, as I mentioned the other day, main remedy is cultivation of love, compassion, altruism, the wisdom realizing emptiness in general. Those are the main remedy. And here, in the Vajrayana thing, in Vajrayana, in particular in this Vajrasattva, main remedy is, experiencing the union of bliss and emptiness. Experiencing union of bliss and emptiness. I'm saying, when I say emptiness, I'm sure many of you, all of you know, I'm talking about emptiness in the sense, this union is realization of emptiness and great bliss, that union. And that in the Vajrasattva, that is the main which destroys all the affliction, all the negativities, all the seeds of the negativities. When that union is actualized, experienced, within ourselves. But in generally, for example, sometimes it is very, very helpful to cultivate a deep sense of, compassion. That will help to reduce, the many of those negativities that we have created in relation to the others. You know, negativities that we created relation to the others is simply due to the lack of compassion. You know, lack of compassion to others, then we harm others, you know, what you call the, you know, environment and their, what you call their possessions and so on and so forth. So antidote to that is cultivating strong compassion, or, you know, holding a strong understanding of nature of impermanence while doing the visualization. Same visualization, but holding a strong, you know, realization of nature of impermanence. That will really, you know, become remedy to grasping, you know, what you call the craving, clinging. Sometimes while doing the visualization, you know, whether you say the mantra or not, hold a strong sense of loving kindness, love towards all living beings. That will help to reduce, to minimize that negativities that we have created out of anger, out of hatred, out of dislike. You know, negativities that we have created in this life or in the previous life, you know, we created those negativities related to the other living beings, either their body, speech, and mind, or their environment. And these are created, you know, led by attachment, aversion, and ignorance. You know, those three. So now here, a remedy should be applied to those three poisons. If we apply the remedy to those three poisons, what's going to happen? Attachment will minimize, reduce. Anger, hatred will reduce. Ignorance will reduce. And that is the actual purification. That is the actual purification. You know, there isn't that somewhere here or somewhere here or some storage that's all our negativities are stored somewhere, and then, you know, one by one, you know, to take from there. No, it is those, you know, seeds and propensities which are within our mental continuum, left by the previous, those, you know, action. And as long as they stay with us, when they, you know, encounter with the, you know, other conditions, they will manifest. They will manifest into suffering, pain, difficulties. If they are minimized, reduced, and eventually eradicate, then there's nothing to be pure. And that is really something important, you know, because our mind is, and our mind and our habit and our culture is very much, you know, materialistic. And in that, because of that, even our spiritual, you know, what negativity is to be purified, what realization to be received, also become very material, you know, what's called you know, yearning that we like to have. You know, there's nothing like that. So that is here. In here, you know, the bringing understanding of nature of dukkha. Very, very powerful. Bringing understanding of, you know, the nature of impermanence. Strong sense of love, compassion, altruism, wisdom, realizing emptiness. Bring those realizations, which are the actual remedies, actual remedies. Of course, those nectar, visualizing nectars, coming nectars, very, what you call the very soothing, very, a sort of sense of very fulfilling. But these, lights and nectars, in the aspect of lights and nectars coming through in that aspect, these should materialize, or they should turn into love, compassion, altruism, understanding of emptiness as a remedy in our mental continuum. Then will become the third power, which is the actual, the purification, actual purification. Very, very, what you call the helpful or important to do that. Now then, when we do purification practice, some teachers recommend, in the evening to do sessions of purification, and it doesn't matter which time that we do. That sometimes it is quite helpful, to know, to understand, or to realize which out of those, generally speaking, out of those unhealthy mental states, such as anger, jealousy, envy, and so on and so forth, out of those, which one is more recently forefront of our mental state? Which one is more? Which one occurs frequently? Which one really disturbs us more than others? Sometimes focus on that for a few weeks. If jealousy is really, the mental state which disturbs us frequently, really, to build a deep sense of, ability, a deep sense of what you call the acknowledgement or rejoice the good qualities of the others, sense of rejoicing, sense of acceptance, sense of realizing the good qualities of others. And that is here, and then here it will become really powerful meditation, powerful meditation. We will see some kind of purification, some kind of purification. For example, if somebody is, if somebody is experiencing a strong sense of a self-centered mind last few weeks or few months, then really bring a strong sense of altruism in the purification at this section, the remedial action, power of remedial action. Bring a strong sense of, altruism. Follow the visualization. So then we will see, this is which some of you have heard, one of my teachers, said that it is like a, in one tray. If there are many size of, what you call the bowl, the size of, what you call anyway, and different sizes. Then if you bring a what you call scale to take it, and the first round, all the gross one, all the big one will come first, and then the second one, then the third one. And that is how the purification should be done. Purification should be done. Though at the moment, right here and now, all the afflictions are there within us. The seeds are here within us. All the negative, unwholesome karmic seeds are within us. But which ones are more disturbing us right here and now? Deal with them first. It is said very clearly. It is said, that say within my mental continuum, within my mental state, there are so many, what you call the karmic imprints, karmic what you call the seeds. Many of them are to be born in unfortunate realms. Many of them are to be born in maybe fortunate realms. So when I take my next life, of course I will have only one, not many. When I have next life. So in here, at the moment in my mental continuum, for many lifetimes and in this life, there are many karmic seeds are here. Many karmic seeds are here. So when the close to death, my death, one karmic seed, when I say one, not necessarily only one, but the sets of one karmic seed will be activated to take my next life. Among many sets of karmic seeds, some are sets of to be born in unfortunate, some are sets of to be born in fortunate. There are many. But which, how can, who will determine among those many which one will be activated at the time of the close to the death? And that is very clearly stated in the sutra. It says, which one that you are more familiar with, that will come first. That will be activated. And it makes sense. It makes sense. So therefore, here, when we do the purification practice, though we have many unwholesome, unhealthy habits and unwholesome, here many kinds, but try to realize which one is more frequently disturbing us, which one is more frequently, causing us trouble. Realize that. Do the purification that first. And there's a chance, that negativity, that seed, the negativity of that unwholesome may reduce. Like that. So that is something very, very useful to know. One of my teachers, when I was here as a student, they gave that advice, which I found very, very helpful. And what I mentioned, it is clearly stated in the sutra, which karmic seeds will activate at the close of the time of the death to take next rebirth. And it is said, which one is the most you are close to, which one is you familiar with, that will occur. Whether you like it or not, because it is out of the habits. It is out of the habits. Out of the habits, it will occur. So those are that way purification. Here the pure how to do the purification, arranging the purification. There are many unwholesome. Which one I want to purify? Sometimes we may do a little bit here, a little bit there. Oh, today I'll do it tomorrow. not in that way, to have a little bit arrangement to understand, and arrangement is done in that fashion is quite helpful. So then the next one here is, we can recite the short Om Vajrasattva Home after. And these 4 pure sets of visualization, which I will not read. It says purification of the body, purification of speech, purification of mind, and purification of all three. Whether you do visualization as it is stated in here or not, it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. This is what I just mentioned. No, I didn't say body, speech, mind, and all 3 together. I didn't say that. What I said is which affliction is more frequently disturbed us, do that purification. But here, sort of to explain very neatly, and they put it body, speech, mind, and all 3 together. And it is also to do with the, when we receive initiations, in the Vajrayana, there are 4 initiations. Each initiations are performed to purify, for example, a vast initiation. First initiation, which is the vast initiation, that is to purify the body. Then the second initiation is sacred initiation. That is to purify the speech. The third initiation is what you call the wisdom. That is to purify the mind. And the 4th initiation is called word initiation. It is word, it has a more meaning, which I'll not go into detail. That is initiation given to purify negativities of all 3 together. All 3 refers to body, speech, and mind. So it has also that kind of element in here. It has that kind of elements of here. But more for us, I found, as I mentioned, for us, in a practical level, more tangible is, what I've shared with you. Which one is more disturbing? Deal with them. Or you can go with the body, speech, and mind, all 3. That's also fine. Out of those 3, body, speech, and mind, which one that creates more unhealthy? Work with that first. Do the recitation and visualization. But those earlier what I mentioned, what you call holding strong loving kindness, holding strong compassion, holding strong altruism, as a remedy to these, unhealthy behaviors and mental state. That is useful, that is useful. Okay, so that is really the power of remedial action. So, still in terms of the, meditation, where if you follow the meditation manual, we are still visualizing the Vajrasattva at our above our head, above our crown, and holding that, visualizing nectars coming through that, and same time reciting the mantra, reciting this mantra or other mantras, other powerful, what you call the I found this very helpful. I don't do that very often, but occasionally, instead of reciting the Vajrasattva mantra, I say the 8 verses of the mind training. 8 verses of the mind training. Just say the first verse and then do the purification, then do the second verse, then do the third verse, and because sometimes reciting the mantra, as I mentioned earlier, not having clear meaning, unable to catch the meaning behind the mantra, unless if we read the translation. But when we read the 8 verses mind training, to say in English or in Tibetan, what I'm saying, I can hear and I can feel my heart. So in that way, then helpful to the purification practice. Okay. So now, before we move next week, we are going to do the power of the determination. And that week, that Sunday also, last Sunday for this round, then we don't have class until I think April or May. We haven't decided yet. Is that right?
We said the last 2 Sundays of March.
March.
20th and 27th.
Okay. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. We are stopping at the end of this next Sunday. So before we stop today, I want to touch on a little bit on this before starting the power of determination. So here, for you to think, which I found very helpful, is twice a month, the fully ordained monks, bhikshus, and also the novices, the young boys, but mainly fully ordained monks. Twice a month, we have what we call, confessing the downfalls. So the confessing the downfalls, one of the main parts is, the abbot. The abbot will ask to you, or in this case, because there are 1,000 monks, to the monks, nyeba la nyeba tong. That is in Tibetan. Nyeba la nyeba tong. Nyeba la nyeba means downfall or mistaken. We can use that term, mistaken. Mistaken or downfall. Nyeba la. Nyeba tongam. That means, do you see the downfall as a downfall? Or in other words, do you see the mistaken as a mistaken? And that question is a very, very important question. They will ask. Abbot will ask to the monks. Abbot will raise his hand, then to all the monks are sitting like this, and then he will say, nyeba la nyeba tongam. That means, do you see the downfall as a downfall? So then you have to answer, tongla, yes, I see. Yes, I've seen. So now that answer, question and answer process is a very, very important part of the purification. That question, that will do 3 times. Ask 3 times, And the last, when finished the third, answer say yes, I see. Then the abbot will say tabla. Tabla, that means this is the way, or this is the method. This is the way, or this is the method. So now, to talk about the next last power, the power of determination, not to repeat again, to have that happen, to that determination to be here within us, we have to see the unwholesome deeds, unwholesome actions are as unwholesome. Or if I use the other word, the negativities are as negativities. We have to see that. If we don't see that, then this, entire what you call the purification will not going to work that well. So that is really something. Why I'm saying that is because now being abbot, and quite often I know that I have to act that to say to the monk, and of course another abbot or somebody will ask me after I said that. Somebody will ask those 3 questions. That is the process. Not only the abbot asks, and abbot, somebody will ask to the abbot. Do you see that? So coming here and seeing that, what you call the process in the purification. Normally, it is really very much, normal, or generally we take as it's just part of ritual. Abbot will ask, you will say, yes, I see, yes, I see, yes, I see. Yes, I will not do. That's it. But if when we look at the really in the depth, then we will see there's a big meaning there. Though it's very simple, just in a form of question and answer, but it has a very, very powerful meaning. And it is same in here, Okay, so today we'll stop here. Though it is not 9:30, but we'll stop here. Oh yeah. Om Je Ma Pama Drama Cha Chanze Drama Nyuma Ba Chene Keje Lodan Ta Jiden Songwen Chiji She Kesa Chewa Lene Jo Chanze Tonge Tawa Kawa Jene Sigbe Shala Kama Tonda Soba Rado Chewe Rapa Chanze Sengwe Chone Peme Chane Nabara Jimba Tundu Katoshi Saba Something Ju Chanze Tejin Chebe So Tai Nabara Jawa Che Malu Baru Jimba Jawe Seji Shindu Den Chanze Tuda Rahung Duda Choda Nambaka Jite Dombo Shaki Leba Meba Buba Chanze Jajin Mela Tsang Nongla Nato Waju Che Jombo Rola Tesa Nama Nijun Soji Dune Chanze Teje Chadang Pe Paro Chogo Rabdo Chong Egon Yunjan Shabdi Meba Choba Shindong Vara Chanze Turi Jigwa Chen Duji Pao Nambara Chong Chuji Shene Chonye Dao Tamje Malu Se Chanze Gonjo Sumze Cha Seme Toga Nambara Gen Malu Choji Kolo Gen Rangi Weji Sonam Chu Chanze Rabdo Gawa Ji Ujin Weji Changwa Bam Shekwa Rabshe Dudara Dudan Jigden Wando Chanze Sashi Jongwe So Tamje Guba Numa Tonye Yewa Yige Honge Pongba Tamje Nambara Chanze Dawe Tombo Jamba Tamje Shindo Para Lebe Trene Urbane Tabara Shindo, Ravate, Chanze Gebe Tamani, Barwe Chengwa Wine, Eja Yungumukune ko Dae Pungne, Nambara Cho, Chanze Sashi Ngola Cha, Tilji Nujin Shati, Tonye Jenze Yige, Rimba Dumbu Namike, Chanze Dema Gema She, Yangen Deshin Juni, So Omda Yanda De, Diva Chimbo Jomba, Chanze Kune Koravaka, Dae Lune, Nabarake, Ige Jube Ngani, Diva Hongle Domani, Chanze Ture Shaminda, Honge Nabe Sabini, Ramenda Ratan Be, Jigen Sumna Yawa, Chanze Lai Zoe, Rita Dajen Chana, Tara Niju Peje, Dena Malu Pane, Chanze Lai Sonam Je, Pada Miam Ji Den, Gwene Goja Gawa Ji, Zeda Melon Niba Sam, Chanze Nima Dawa Je, Jinye Bola Rab Sam, Hara Niju Dodara, Shindo Tawe Rimne Sam, Chanze Dini Sumnam Shive Toda Yada Dem, Deda Rona Nijun So, Jomba Dore Rapchon, Sawe Ngaji Doba Deda, Chanze Wane Niju Za. Gewa Di Jiu, Sonama Yishe Cozo Shin, Sonama Yishe Lechon, Tamba Kuni Tobara, Chanjo Semjo Rinpoche, Maje Panama Jeju, Jeba Nyamba Neba, Kone Kondo Pewa So Kare Rave Korve Shinkama Dere Penda Dewa Malu Chung Jere Sewa Denzi Jazo Shabe Sede Pato Tenjuro. Oh yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
A lot for us to think
Thank
of.
you, Geshe.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Thank you so much,
I'll
Geshe.
see you
Yes.
next
Thank
week.
you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Geshe.
Very challenging.